Hello, welcome to Storytime&Crafts with me, Karasu. Grab a project and pull up a chair. Today I'm going to be doing a whip and chat, or a work in progress, and a chat, just kind of let you guys know what's going on in my life. First of all, hopefully you guys had a good week and a good weekend. My week has been filled with a lot of joy and frustration, which I'll get into a little bit later. The project that I am working on diamond painting wise today is the Lightweaver from Diamond Art Club. I am working in this area today. I haven't really gotten a chance to work on this particular diamond painting all week. I've been kind of obsessed with my square diamond painting, which is a mystery kit from Diamond Art Club. One of the fun little things that I got to experience is my husband apparently had gotten me some anniversary presents that didn't come in on time. I mean, our anniversary is a couple weeks back, but he got me this gorgeous pin and a complete set of steel, I think these are steel tips. Only thing I know is that they are from Etsy, and he normally only shops from sellers that are either in Oregon, Idaho, or Washington. So if you are looking for these, that's probably where you'll find them. Any of my other stuff is Diamond Art Club. Oop, got wax all over that one. I'm finding that the pink wax doesn't work too well in the bigger multi-placers, but I'm still learning. Just like this guy, I have never tried with the tip like this, and it actually has kept me from having to use my brace as much since I have issues with my wrist. And because I've got all this new diamond painting stuff, of course, I went out and spent hours upon hours diamond painting. So let me grab a color and get started. So hopefully you guys again had a great week and weekend. Got a random color in there. My weekend last week, well, I should say start of my week. I normally start on Sundays and I go to work at night, so my weekends normally are Friday and Saturday, so my weeks start on Sunday. I was hoping to do whip and chats on Saturday so I would be able to relax before I go to work on Sunday, but as life turned out, I ended up once again recording on Sunday, which is perfectly fine for me. It gives me a little bit of a breather from the kids. I spent most, if not all day, on Sunday or on Saturday taking care of them and trying not to get too mad at them. I am not normally the one who takes care of them most of the day. My husband does his best to do that in the mornings, and then I normally take the afternoon shifts, as we call them, when I am home. So I spent most of the day being called dad or being called brother, because normally I'm not the one around, and when my kids are sidetracked, that's what they do. They tend to call me by somebody else's name, which I'm fine with. I find it frustrating at times, especially when instead of asking me, they are demanding. Which I am still working on, trying to get my kids to realize that, yes, I am the mother. I will do as you ask me to or demand me, but I don't like being told what to do. And I will drag my feet until you properly ask me. So, yeah, that's one of my little pet peeves that I dealt with this week. With it being August, we're gearing up for school to start back up. I don't have to go school shopping. I tend to do that literally at the end of the previous year. With the way some of the sales and stuff are, and my kids pretty much have the same stuff they need every year, at least until I think my oldest hits junior high is when I'll start having to adjust that. But we get the same stuff every year. I store it for the year. If they need little things here and there, I will pull it out of our storage. Normally I end up with extra stuff when they come home anyways, because their teachers are amazing and will buy stuff for them, knowing that the parents can't. My oldest does go to private school, so their list doesn't change whatsoever. I mean, it's the same stuff every year. Normally we'll get a request to, if possible, on top of tuition, buy supplies for them. Normally what I end up doing is pulling extra supplies that I've bought on discount years back or that year and send it in with my son going, here's what I have extra in my house, go ahead and use it. I don't know how well that's going to go this year with me actually working there. I don't know yet if I'm working at his school. Last year I was doing a trial run to see if they wanted to pay somebody for a custodian position. That was actually quite fun for me. I'm crossing my fingers that this week I get a call back, this coming week, I get a call back from another custodian job so I can get away from dealing with the high school here in town. I'm having issues with some of the other custodians that work there, especially their day shift person. I work by myself. I prefer that. I don't like working in a team, but I also don't like the fact that the other custodians that are there, if it doesn't involve them, if it doesn't affect them, they don't care to pass it on. So I work weekends when they're not there. I cannot have anybody in the building because of the chemicals that I use. The air circulation is not strong enough to allow this chemical to be used safely with a lot of people around. I mean, I even have to wear a mask, and as soon as I come home, I have to bathe. I have to get the chemical off my skin. My clothes go instantly to the wash machine because, one, I don't want to bring anything home. I don't want to bring anything that those kids at the high school may bring with them from school, especially with the global stuff going on. I mean, I've had family that have had the panini or COVID, however you want to say it. I am still dealing with the fact that some of the after care that my father has after he ended up getting it. It's been, this is August, so he got it back in January. And he's still dealing with side effects and neurology issues that I see in my husband. And I feel sorry for my mom because my dad is a long haul truck driver. He's only home maybe once, twice a month, but my mom talks to him daily. She helps him through his difficult days when he can't remember where he's supposed to go. He can't remember what how to program something into his some of the mini computers that he has. There are times when she'll be talking to him, he'll be reminding himself, I've got to take this exit, I have to go out and do this, and he'll drive right by it because he cannot focus on more than one thing at a time. So a lot of the times he'll call me and I'll ask him point blank, are you driving? And he'll tell me no. And it's like, okay, I can sit and talk with you. If he calls me and goes, yeah, I'm driving, I'm going through a major city, I literally tell him, call me when you're through the city at the end of the day. I will not talk to him if he's driving. And he's flat out asked me, why don't you want to talk when I'm driving? And I tell him this is because I don't want to be responsible for you having missed an exit, or you have an idiot on the road that feels that truckers can stop on a dime. There are a reason that truck drivers leave about a car length in front of them. That is their stopping room. I don't know how many times riding with him as a kid that I ran into some of those fun scenarios of being in the passenger seat and watching a car disappear underneath his hood. They're farther up for a reason, but that doesn't mean they can see close in front of them. A lot of these new computer systems to keep the truckers safe and keep the roads safe, they have their flaws. I'll go on this little rant and rampage because I know there are people out there that think that the stopping systems on the trucks and all these new devices and everything to make the truckers safe, make it safer for them to drive day to day and stuff like that. There are some major flaws with some of these devices. One of the major ones that I see where I'm located at is these computer systems cannot see black ice. So you will have a truck fully loaded, a couple of 1,000 pounds, going 60, 65, 70, sometimes even 80 miles an hour on black ice because their systems do not register it. And the drivers either are so used to the programs taking care of everything, so they've gotten a little lazy, or they're the older drivers that are stuck in these new rigs and they're fighting the system to disengage. Because if it's in an automatic truck, that system engages whether you want it to be or not. And where I live and the hills and stuff that I live around, when it becomes winter time, it's dangerous. Because these truck drivers, they either realize too late because they're not paying attention, or they're sitting there fighting their own trucks to be safe, and then you have somebody who's either not paying attention, feel that, oh, I have four-wheel drive, I can go anywhere. Four-wheel drive helps. All-wheel drive helps. But in winter, when it's raining, slowing down, being more cautious is so much safer. I myself am not a perfect driver. I'll admit it. I'm not a perfect driver. I can flat out say, yes, I have experience driving. There are others out there that have a lot more experience than I do. I have a different perspective, yes, since I am a trucker's daughter. I've seen a lot of road when it comes to the continental U.S. even long before I was even able to drive myself. But I still remember my first driving lesson, which happened to be in an 18-wheeler. We were on private property and my father told me to shift. His vehicles have always been stick shifts, so I do know how to drive a stick shift. But trying to remember all 18 gears, I could not get that thing to move. I could steer at the yin-yang. I could steer constantly because my family had a riding lawnmower and that's how we learned to steer. But yeah, trying to move an 18-wheeler, yeah, nope. I put it in granny gear. I let that thing pull itself forward a few inches and told my dad, forget it. I'll learn in the pickup. Alright, back to present day. Let's see, my family has been, let's see, my son doesn't have swimming anymore, so we haven't been doing that. So my oldest and my youngest have been getting bored. So of course, when you have two boys that are bored, they go after each other. I've been trying my best to teach my youngest that screaming is not the way to communicate with his brother. And in turn, he turns around and tells me, but that's how you communicate with us, Mom. So I've myself been trying not to yell as much. The first thing that crossed my mind when my youngest told me that is insert foot in mouth. I just did a no-no. But that's one thing that I didn't realize I was doing, and my kids pointed it out to me, which is, as a parent, is fascinating, cool, and scary all at the same time, because I have learned quite a few habits that I didn't realize I did until my kids copied me. My 4-year-old is out of the parrot stage and into the why or what stage. So why does this work and what is that doing? And I accept he is curious and he is learning. I understand that it is just a phase. I am somebody who tries to mitigate a lot of this by telling him before he asks. So if I tell him that you need to stop doing this and this is why, he'll turn around and ask me again. Why? And I'll repeat myself. If I repeat myself more than 3 times, I tell him, I have given you the answer, you need to figure out what it is now. Which of course frustrates him and he stomps off. I get it, he's trying to interact with me, he's trying to get a different response. But there are days when I just, mentally I cannot handle it. I do my best not to pass it on to my husband because he is still going through a medium, he's not as bad as he was, but his medication was altered last month, and it takes anywhere from a month to 2 months for him to figure out what needs adjusted, what needs fixed, either time of day, dosage, that sort of thing. How is he supposed to deal with X, Y, and Z? And until he figures that out, I play Russian roulette on what I'm supposed to do. This makes it very difficult because we have a communication issue. We know this. And having kids has only made it worse. We've tried multiple times working on it. We have not found a counselor. We have not found somebody to help us that fits. A lot of the times when it comes to us working in couples therapy and stuff like that, one of us, either him or me, breaks, and they either feel it's unsafe for us to continue with couples therapy, or it is not something they can help us with because they don't know how to work with somebody with chronic pain. And dealing with the VA, it is very hard to get a new counselor. It is very hard to get new people. So I know my mental health, I don't take care of it very well. I am on medication to help with it. It's more of an as needed to help with my anxiety attacks, which last month when I started these WIP and chats were a day-to-day thing. Now they're not as bad, but I'm starting to run into the anxiety of school starting, the possibility of a new job, and how that's going to change the dynamics in the house. Me and my husband at this point are unfortunately more in a relationship of caregiver and roommate versus husband and wife in a team when it comes to our kids. So that's a little struggle that I'm dealing with right now. Another little struggle I'm dealing with is I have apricots out to wazoo. My apricot tree has decided that this year is going to be a bountiful crop. And I have looked at that tree and I have estimated, since right now they're not quite ripe. They're not quite there. I mean, I've got another probably end of this week. I might be able to get a five gallon bucket worth off of it. And that's just probably going to be one of many this year. The last couple years, of course, I haven't gotten hardly anything off of it. Last year we had a false spring, and it was, the apricot tree was beautifully white with all the flowers had bloomed and no foliage whatsoever. It was beautiful, and then it all froze because it was a false summer or a false spring. So this year it went okay. I stored all that energy. We had another beautiful spring and all complete white tree. I mean, I didn't get any pictures. I'll have to get pictures next year, but I had my apricot tree and my cherry tree are completely in bloom. And I thought, well, great, they're going to be in bloom again, and we're going to have another false spring, and it's just going to freeze. Well, we had a mild spring. We didn't have to worry too much about the freezing or anything like that. It came late enough in the year. Sorry, my voice seems to be having issues since we're surrounded by wildfires right now, so the air is causing a lot of issues. Actually, I'm gonna go get me a drink, so I will be right back. Alright, now that I have some tea, stay hydrated, everybody. Yes, Greta, I know, I came back down. I'll be able to talk now, if the cat lets me. Guess she's not too thrilled with me going up and down and recording. So, let's see, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the apricot tree. So, we have so many apricots coming in. I've got 3 people already lined up to get 5-gallon buckets worth, but I'm still going to be inundated with apricots. The last time this happened was when we first moved into where we're at now. That was back in 19. Sorry about that. I had my husband and a cat deciding that they wanted my attention. So my question would be, if you guys know anything that I can do with a bunch of apricots, whether it be recipes or I did can a whole lot when we first moved it in 19, but we really didn't go through a whole lot of the jams and stuff like that. So I ended up giving away a lot of those cans, and I still have some that I am turning into fruit leather as fast as I can do it. So if you guys have any recipes or something like that, or ideas of what I can do with all this apricot, please put your ideas down in the description or in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys do with apricots or anything like that. I did a lot of canning, as I said, whether it be just have fruit halves and canning them, or turning them into jams and like that. My kids don't really like apricots. I love apricots, but I can't have a whole lot all at once. And I mean, I've come up with some weird ways of eating apricots, or some unique, I should say, ways of eating apricots. I mean, I add apricots to any salad I make, no matter what type of salad it is, as long as it doesn't have fish in it. I have added apricots to my breakfast, whether it be omelets or on toast or something like that. I've always got apricots in those. My kids love fruit leather, so I make that for them, which saves us on a lot when it comes to me buying fruit roll-ups or gummies and stuff like that for my kids for their school lunches, because they both do not get free lunches. So I normally make them a sack lunch, and between one of the people that I trade, they get apples and I give them apricots, and we normally do a 5-gallon bucket. I turn the apples into applesauce, or the boys just eat apples normally, so I don't have to worry too much about canning those. But I mean, I do cobblers and I do anything and everything with apricots that I can think of. But if you guys have a recipe that you really enjoy, or you have an idea of what I can do with these apricots other than sell them, I used to do farmers market stuff with my crocheting, or I used to make bath bombs for other people. I stopped doing that and started actually doing an actual job because it wasn't sustainable for me at that time. I will admit, though, it was very interesting trying to do that when pregnant. I never really made a profit when it came to those, but maybe when I'm older, don't have kids, that may be what I do to socialize. I still have all the stuff for it. I still have my table, I still have my tent, I still have all that. But I do enough right now when it comes to working. I help with my husband's business, which is a card business, and then I help with I was working at my son's school as a custodian, plus I work at the high school as a custodian. So my nights and evenings are pretty much booked, or I am so wiped out that I can't function. For my work at the high school, I either start at 6 o'clock at night, or because of events and stuff going on, I start at 1 a.m. So I work through the morning as much as I can. That job I can only do 5 hours at a time. That's more because I cannot be, or I should say, I run into issues if I'm away from my husband for more than 5 hours. Part of it is separation anxiety. I know this. The other part is he runs into problems either with the kids remembering to take his medication, or it's as soon as I come home, he goes to sleep. And I need a straight one for these. I run into issues with that because I come home and either I'm dead tired, I need a half hour to unwind, and I don't get that. I come straight home, he either gives me a cup of coffee or he tells me to go to bed. If I get the cup of coffee, he's normally the one going to bed, and I have to give him anywhere from 2 to 3 hours of a nap before I can go to sleep. And there are some mornings that it's like there's no freaking way. I'm a zombie sitting in front of the TV as my kids watch something that is more brain rotting than I used to watch as a kid. But then again, I used to watch Barney as a kid. I can't stand it now. For those that may not be in the US, Barney is a kids show that is very repetitive, about a purple dinosaur. Most parents in the 90s that had children knew who Barney was and hated it. I'm the same way now with some of the shows that my kids watch, and it's like, oh good God, please save me. But I also look at it as I did it to my parents. My kids are going through that phase too. I have to either choose to learn about what they are watching, so I understand when they randomly rattle off something, because my kids will do that. We'll be in the middle of a store and they will... Okay, sorry about that. Apparently my phone has a timer that goes off at 30 minutes. So I was talking about my kids and their shows and stuff, and the way that they would talk or ask me a question about their shows and stuff, and I have chosen to learn what they are talking about enough that I can get through a mild conversation. If it's in depth, I just let them talk. I don't spend a whole lot of time trying to understand what they watch. I have been through 2 boys, so some of the younger kids stuff, like let's see, Coco Melon is one of them that I know a lot more than I would appreciate or acknowledge. Another show that my kids no longer watch per se, but they still every once in a while will get into it, and that's Paw Patrol. So I know quite a bit about those 2 shows. My oldest right now is starting to get into Sonic and get into Pokemon, so those are ones that it's like, okay, those are more my generation. Now I just have to learn what he's talking about because they have been remade or they have moved on far past season-wise than I've ever watched, or like Pokemon. I knew enough about it through the card game that I could tell you the main character. I could tell you what certain Pokemon are, but the new regions and stuff like that, and the specialty Pokemon, or the different people that he meets. Yeah, forget it. I didn't learn any of those growing up, so now I'm forced to learn them now. I'm trying to get my kids to do one of my favorite pastimes, which is D&D, or some people know a form of it as Pathfinder. There's so many. It's a tabletop role-playing game. I would love to get them into it. There is one game platform called Amazing Tales that I recently got, and it's a kids dumbed down version of D&D. So there are simple rules. It's easier for my youngest, who is only 4, to come up with his character and not have to remember a whole lot about his character, but he's still able to have the conversations. He's still able to engage in the story. I'm hoping to get more than 1 or 2 sessions out of them, because right now they would rather be on a screen, which frustrates the heck out of me. But I accept that both of them grew up with screens, both of them deal with screens in their classrooms, in their education. I got lucky in the fact that my oldest, he learned to read and write using a screen, but he is a bookworm that doesn't like e-readers. So we are constantly going to the library and changing out books because he flies through books. I just wish he would pick some that are a little bit longer. We are getting Minecraft books, and we are getting Pokemon books. He loves reading manga and comics. So that's a plus. That's something he has in common with his father. I mean, we have more comics in this house and more paper than a lot of people want to admit. I mean, at this point, I think I can do a storage locker of nothing but comics and books. That's not including the card business that my husband does, because he plays Magic the Gathering. My oldest plays Pokemon, and my youngest is starting to play Pokemon as well. They collect the cards, and it's kind of cool and funny at the same time. My kids have a lot more in common with my husband than with me, but at the same time, I'm the only girl in the house, so I do all the girly things, per se. My oldest loves to diamond paint too, but it's something that he has issues doing on his own. I've gotten him many, what color am I looking for? That symbol. I've gotten him many diamond painting stickers and little projects here and there that are partial small diamond paintings. He'll start them, he'll get bored, and he'll leave them, which I'm okay with. I mean, he's a boy that has issues sticking to a project unless it's Legos. If it's Legos, he will stick to it till it's done. I mean, he's gotten Christmas and birthday presents that were Legos, and he would have those completely completed in a few days' time. I mean, I can't I couldn't get him away from them, which I'm fine with, as long as they don't end up in the hall. He has an area for those things. If the cats take off with him because he doesn't pick them up, I've gotten to the point I am tired of stepping on Legos. He knows if I vacuum, the Legos go in the vacuum, they go in the trash. If I step on them, I will only ask once a day for him to pick them up. If I step on another one again at a different point during that day, it goes in the trash. I don't care who plays with it. I don't care who is responsible for it. They realize and know that I will throw it away if I end up stepping on it more than once. Oh man. Okay, let's scoop this guy up. I'm actually getting a lot of work done on this today. I'll probably get a lot more since I have to cut backboards for my husband's business and envelopes and stuff like that with my Cricut. So I'm waiting on that. I'll just work on this. One of the things that I do for us to save money with the business with his business is to cut shipping supplies for him, because we have to reinforce the cards when they ship, and we actually found it cheaper if I make the envelopes that we send out, so we're able to technically personalize, and we're able to brand with those as well, which is kind of nice. We found a place that I can get comic backboards, which I cut up to fit the cards, and I put his company logo on one side. And I find it funny, he got me the Cricut for my birthday because I wanted to make shirts and I wanted to make specialty things for my parents or my kids. I'm an avid sewer in the wintertime. In the wintertime, I'm doing one of three things. I'm either doing diamond painting, I'm cross stitching, or I'm sewing. And in the summer, I diamond paint when it's too hot to go outside, or I am, while my kids are taking their quiet time or their naps, depending on what kid, I am diamond painting then. But normally in the summertime, I am rarely sitting down to diamond paint. This week has actually been a rarity. I'm normally outside gardening, or I'm deep cleaning my house, which, because I am getting into the gear of school's coming, I'm starting to deep clean again. It's just an ebb and flow, going through the kids' clothes, going through their bedrooms, because they thrash them during the summer, and it's like, okay, we need to get this set up so you guys are ready for school, and we will start either next week or the week after, because they start just before my youngest starts just the last week of this month. My oldest will start the first week of September, so I will be getting their rooms cleaned, and either this coming week or the week after I'll start shifting their sleeping schedule, because of course during the summer I let them stay up longer. I let them get away with sleeping in. That's more because I don't change my sleeping schedule. I sleep in a little bit more, but I do my best not to change my sleeping schedule. So in the summertime, I get more mornings if I'm not working nights, or my husband gets those mornings to sleep in, if his insomnia lets him. But with school coming up and the harvest starting, I mean, we've already gotten all of our strawberries off their vines, so I've got to go through the strawberries and either thin them out or trim off their feelers, their baby ones. I'm hoping my blackberry bush pulls through and actually gives me a good crop this year. Unfortunately, last year we had a lot of deer in our area and my blackberry bush got eaten almost down to the nubs. I did have some growth from last year, managed to survive the winter. So it's giving us a couple of good blackberries, but they're not ripe yet. I'm already getting zucchini. My boys always grow a pumpkin, so we don't buy pumpkins in October. They're happy they've got at this point 3 or 4 pumpkins. Last year they managed to only one survive, which was really sad, at least to me, to the fact that they had 3 pumpkins to start with. The deer came through and ate one before it was even no bigger than an apple. And then after I had pulled all the leaves off to have them turn orange or yellow, however you want to look at it, the deer came through and ate the other one. So they ended up having to share a pumpkin last year, and my youngest didn't mind it. My oldest was kind of bummed, but they helped me choose what plants we grow each year. We always have tomatoes. This year I decided on, instead of doing the big tomatoes, to do a whole bunch of small ones. They wanted potatoes or spuds, however you say it. Potato. They wanted those this year, and I'm like, okay, well, let's experiment. I had 2 5-gallon buckets. One they had busted, so I put one inside the other. The busted one I put holes in it to give it more like slats in the sides, and we planted potatoes in there. And then I found out that the bucket in my kitchen decided to grow as well. Right now the one in my kitchen is doing better than the one that the boys helped me plant, so I'm probably going to end up with potatoes in my kitchen in a bucket versus where I wanted them to grow. Luckily though, if we are surrounded by potato fields, and during harvest season there is almost guaranteed to be 1 or 2 events where a truck has been overloaded and they'll dump some on the side of the road. Normally when this happens, we get a phone call from either family or somebody whose houses it's right in front of, and they give permission to come clean it up. So we go out and get some good size potatoes out of that. Yeah, we have to fight neighbors and stuff for them, but I mean, most of the time there's so many of them that I will come away with anywhere from 3 to 4 or 5-gallon buckets with nothing but potatoes. And I spend the next like 4 or 5 weeks doing nothing but canning, freezing, cutting all of these potatoes on top of making dinner and cooking just to store them for the winter. I'm normally not one who does a whole lot of prep work. I used to be somebody who would if I can't get it at the store, I just don't need it. Now with food prices going up and a lot of people coming to me and asking if I have certain things, family-wise, since I actually, when we moved here, we moved closer to family. And by doing that, I went from not having anybody but my immediate family looking out for me or acknowledging the fact that I can get help from them. I still have issues asking them for help, family members. I'm so used to having to drop everything to go help a family member. When we moved over here, there was an event that happened that bridges were burnt between me and my husband's family. Not just my in-laws, his whole family. I'm not in a place yet to try and rebuild the few bridges I feel are necessary. I don't keep my kids from them. At least I try not to. They still do birthday presents and stuff like that, but I won't go out of my way anymore to visit them. I won't go out of my way anymore to take care of them. I've been burnt too many times. And yeah, that's where I'll leave that. I'm not gonna go into detail of that unless something drastic happens again. I think the only thing drastic that could happen is my mother-in-law following us over here. We do live in the same state, I'll admit that, but we live on opposite sides of the state. I moved back home, he moved away from his home. We knew when we did that, something would change with his mother, because she deals with depression. She deals with other things that we couldn't deal with anymore. We tried helping. She has habits that my kids can't be around for any length of time. We've tried asking. She's not in a place right now that she wants to live her life the way she wants it, and I don't care about what anybody else says. So we cut her out to a point. I want to cut her out completely. I can't because of my kids. My oldest grew up with his Nana around. Almost to the point of her being nosy. So I don't like the way she spoils him, but on the flip side, she is part of his life a lot more than my youngest. My youngest was born only a couple years before we moved, and during that particular time in all of our lives, she wasn't really around a whole lot, and her health was going down at that particular time, so we didn't really interact too much. My youngest got to see her at her worst and realize, yeah, she's a fun person, but he knows that if she's around for too long, there's a lot of tension between mom and dad, and he doesn't like it. He doesn't know where it comes from. He doesn't understand yet the feelings that were brought up and stuff like that. My oldest has asked me why I don't like Nana. I told him flat out, I figured he'd need to know. I told him the fact that Nana doesn't compromise, and nor do I. I gave her a promise that I would look after him, his brother, and his dad. And I would not allow from anyone them to harm them in any way. Well, she doesn't understand that that could be her. That she's the one who could be doing that harm because she doesn't see it. So I'm not in a place to be able to take on that. I'm not going to dwell too much on that anymore. So at this point, I have a little one who is begging me to stop recording so he can come downstairs and play and watch shows. So that's where I'm going to leave this with you guys. Again, if you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the subscribe button and the like button once again. And if you guys know what I can do with some of these apricots, please give me some suggestions in the comments. I hope you guys have a good day and enjoy your week. Bye, guys.